Hello, Dental A Team listeners. This is Kiera Dent, and I just wanted to say thank you so much for being part of my Dental A Team family. I seriously love doing this podcast. I thought I was going to hate it, and I love it. I love it so much because I get to connect with you. I get to hear how this podcast is helping you and your practice be better. So if you have loved this podcast and you are willing to share, I would greatly appreciate if you'll share with your friends, if you'll leave us a review, if you'll give us 5 stars, anything you can do. Just like you guys grow your practices, we're trying to grow this podcast to positively impact the world of dental. This is how we get to grow our Dental A Team family. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoy the show. Welcome to the Dental A Team podcast. We're your hosts, Kiera Dent
and Dr. Mark Costas.
Mark and I had this crazy idea that maybe we could combine a dentist and a team member's perspective because let's face it, dentistry can be a challenging profession with those two perspectives. And Dental A Team podcast was created.
I'm a practicing dentist, a multiple practice owner, a dental performance coach, and the founder of the Dental Success Institute.
I've been a dental assistant, treatment coordinator, scheduler, biller, office manager, current practice owner, and international dental consultant. Mark and I don't just understand you, we are you.
Our goal is to positively impact the world of dentistry by sharing our lessons learned from the road in hundreds of dental offices.
2 perspectives, 1 mission, to help dental professionals reach their full potential. Welcome to the Dental A Team podcast. Hello, Dental A Team listeners. Are you guys fired up and ready for a quarterly meeting? I hope you are, because quarterly meetings are one of my favorite things, and I'm going to keep talking about them every single quarter. So hopefully you guys don't get sick of them. Obviously, you're not going to because it's the Dental A Team. You guys are the cut above the rest. You know what you want. You're going after it. So I want to actually go over a meeting that I just did with the Dental Success Institute Mastermind group this past weekend in Indiana. If you haven't been to a live event, get there, guys. They're so fun. They're so much fun. So what I did at this last event, and I think you guys should all do this, is I decided I wanted to work on intentions with people. Like, what are your intentions? Where do you want to go? What's the direction, the focus of your practice? And I think because what happens a lot of times is we get super hyper focused on goals. We work on our 90-day plans. We sometimes get lackadaisical. Sometimes we get distracted. Sometimes the plan didn't work out as we had planned. There's so many different avenues of what can happen. And so what I did with this group was we had a lot of team members in the room. So this is perfect. I had dental assistants, I had treatment coordinators, schedulers, office managers, you name it. Like, we had a mixed bag of people. And it was a ton of fun because what we did, obviously, everything's a ton of fun, guys. Like, let's be real. I feel like life should just be fun. So I hope you're having fun. But what we did was I had all of them figure out what their intentions were. And I started it out by talking how I had this lady, I've been coaching her since January. I've told you guys we do coaching calls, we do one-on-one coaching calls, So if you've ever wanted to just like experience what it's like to be a coach, reach out to the Dental A Team, guys. We're not scary. You've heard me chat. All the coaches are fantastic on our team. I've trained every single one of them. But honestly, it's really fun to have somebody look at your life outside of you. You guys could literally coach me and it would be super fun. Like, tell me how I could run my life better. But having a coach, somebody outside of your world, give you some perspective is a really cool activity to do. So what I did with this client was we set intentions when I first started working with her. So intentions I like to think of intentions as like a big ocean. And then the way that we get to that intention are the little raindrops. So they're like really big ideas. So like an intention could be, I want to expand in my leadership. Like, that's a very big, broad idea. That's an intention for my day. When I hop on a call, when I hop on a podcast, I always think, what's my intention for this call? What do I want to get out of it? It's not like I want to get a A+ on my report card. It's like, I want to learn knowledge about biology. Well, then how am I going to learn knowledge? I'm going to get an A on my report card. I'm going to do all my homework assignments, whatever it is. So intentions. And when we set intentions, they can be rocks. There's lots of different words to use, you name it. But I had the team start thinking about, or this group, this audience, start thinking about the intentions that they wanted. So what did they want their quarter for, or their quarter one, whatever quarter you're in? What do you want that upcoming quarter to look like? What are the intentions? And it was interesting because like this coaching client, what I had her do is at the beginning of our coaching call, When the very first time I coached her, I said, what are your intentions for doing coaching calls? Like, why did you even reach out for coaching calls? And she said, well, I want to be a better leader. I want my husband, who's the dentist, to take on a more direct leadership role. And I want to learn how to impact and inspire people like you do, Kiera. And I was like, great. Those are 3 really good intentions. Well, fast forward 6 months, this lady was awesome because what she did was we really figured out how to help her make sure that the intentions she had set were taking her where she wanted to go. In 6 months, she was a much stronger leader. Her husband had taken on a lot more responsibility. He actually, on his own, started learning traction, got an EOS coach, started figuring those things out. So she was able to like help him on his journey without forcing him to do it. And then she was also able to become a much stronger leader. And it's crazy cool to watch her keep growing. And so I say intentions are kind of like that invisible guiding hand in your life. It's like this silent soundtrack in your mind. So it's like running in the back of your mind, like, what do I want to be? And that guides your decisions. It guides the direction you're going. It guides all these pieces in your life. So that way, I say like it's like the silent soundtrack running in the background. So my intentions are, I want to be like, our intention for KDC is to positively impact the world of dental. Like, that's my intention. That's what I want to do. That's what I want to work on. Now, how am I going to get there? Those are smaller goals that I'll be doing. And so what I had the team do is I said, like, let's build the intentions for quarter 4. But then I broke it down, and I actually had Tiffany. I was like, Tiff, what would be our intentions for quarter 4? She's like, let's get 100,000 downloads. Like, honestly, that's one of our goals. Our goal is to get 100,000 downloads. She's like, we need to hire more consultants. We need a better way to travel. And we were just really like shooting from the hip for these intentions. And I think so often we set goals like this, like, I don't know, like, hey, it's the spur of the moment. Like, what do we want to do? Where do we want to go? And so what I had all the people do is I actually had them review a couple of things. Before we set intentions, we listed off our core values. So what are the core values of our company? For KDC and Dental A Team, we actually have upped it. It used to be fire. Now it's fierce. So in KDC and Dental A Team, we are fun. We live with integrity. We deliver we deliver our results with perfect follow through. So we've got fire, integrity. E is for energy. We bring lots of energy. We inspire you, pump you up, ramp you up. FIER is results. We always deliver and exceed expectations. Always, always. C is consistency. And our final E is ease. So those are our core values. Fierce. 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 Those are our core values. What are your core values? I had an office today. They came with a little jingle for their core values. So what are the core values of your company? Then what is your 1, 3, and 10-year goal for the practice? Where are you guys going in 1 year, 3 years, 10 years? It was kind of interesting because as I was having team members of all different team members work on this project, we realized that a lot of them didn't even know this for the practice. Like, we should start there. If you don't know your core values and the 1, 3, 10-year goal of the business, how do you even know how to set goals or intentions for yourself, for your department? You have no idea. It's kind of like shooting a target or shooting an arrow at a target that you don't even know exists. Like, sure, I can shoot it into the woods. Did I make it? Did I miss it? I have no idea because I don't know where I'm headed. So making sure that we really know the core values and the 1, 3, 10-year plan. What's our mission statement? What's our focus? What are those things for our company? You need to review those before you even set an intention. Otherwise, you're just going to be shooting from the hip like Tiffany and I were doing. Like, well, I don't know. Maybe we should do these things. This sounds like a good idea, but we don't really know. So after that, what you're going to want to do is then once you've figured out your core values, your 1, 3, 10 plan, then we start to build intentions for quarter 4. And what I had the group do is I gave them about 10 to 15 minutes and I said, okay, what are ideas? So like write down some intentions of what you want. But I had them brainstorm for about 10 to 15 minutes of all the different things that they could possibly do in quarter 4 to hit that 1, 3, 10-year plan. So like, let's say in 1 year, we want to hit 500,000 and we know, or like 1.5 million for our practice. We know that that's one of our goals. We also want to have X amount of new patients. So we want to have a systemization score, whatever it is. I had them start brainstorming all the different ways that you could possibly hit this goal and this intention. So after they did that for about 10 or 15, and I told them they weren't allowed to stop writing until I said stop. that forced them to keep thinking and pushing the boundaries. And I told them, it doesn't matter how much money it costs. It doesn't matter. Just brainstorm ideas, because when you have these brainstorming sessions, your mind can go crazy. Your ideas can flow freely, and you're able to then think in an element that you weren't thinking in before. So push it. Half the time you just need one or two ideas to spur another idea. And as soon as you start writing these ideas down, more ideas come. So I literally had them write for about 10 to 15 minutes and not stop writing. After they did that, I then had them go and I used a thing from Alistair McDonald. If you haven't heard him on the Dentalpreneur podcast, check him out. He's super dreamy with his nice, it sounds like an Australian accent, but it's not. He's actually, I believe, from South Africa, I think, or Zimbabwe. Don't tell him I can't remember. I don't know. He's just got a great accent, guys. But Alistair, he's a forecaster. He's a business coach. He's a personal coach. He's got a lot of skills. He owns businesses in multiple different facets. He's got a lot of knowledge. And he did a graph that I really loved. And what he did is it was kind of an L-shaped graph, right, on the X and the Y axis. And on the Y-axis, it's impact, okay? And on the X-axis, it was cost. And I also added time. Because what we're doing is we're going to graph this. So what I had everybody do is once they did their brainstorming session for the 10 to 15 minutes, I had them number every single one of those. So not in order of importance, just numerical. So the first idea that you wrote down is number 1. The next idea is number 2. The next idea is number 3. The next idea was number 4. This way they had a metric to be able to tie it to those ideas. And then what I had them do is I had them look at every single one of their items, those ideas, and I had them plot that on their L graph. So of all those ideas, so let's say, for example, you're a practice and you want to grow to 1.5 million. So ideas of how to do that. We could increase marketing. We could do flyers. We could do unscheduled treatment plans. We could have our doctor go get implants. All right. So that's 4 different ideas I just listed off. So I would number those we could do flyers. That's number 1. Well, then when I'm looking at this graph of impact with cost and time. So flyers, if we're doing flyers, how much impact is that going to have on growing our practice? I'd say it's probably on a scale of 1 to 10. It's probably coming in at a 5. We don't know. It's hit and miss. And then how much is that going to cost us from free all the way up to 1 million? Well, flyers are probably going to cost us about $2,000 to $5,000. So if I've got a 5 on my impact and then I've got about $2,000 to $5,000, I go over to the right and I'm going to plot this idea. So this number 1 on my graph. Then we go to the next one. I can't remember the next one, guys. I remember there was one that said, I said we could have our doctors we could do unscheduled treatment plans. Okay. So if we called and reactivated, let's say even 10% of our unscheduled treatment plans per month, how much impact is that going to be? I'd give you a 7 or an 8. That's a decent amount of impact. How much is that going to cost us? It's pretty much free. So now we have something on the far axis. We'd put a number, I think that was number 4. So our number 1 was pretty far over to the right. It didn't have as high of impact and it's pretty costly. But yet calling unscheduled treatment plans and getting 10% of those scheduled is going to be high impact to increase our production. Plus it's not going to cost us hardly anything. So what I had the team do, the group I was coaching, is I had them look for the things in the top left corner because those are going to be high impact that don't cost a lot and they don't cost a lot of time. Those are the things we want to go after because they have really, really high impact without costing us a ton. Sometimes we need to go after things that cost a lot of money, sure. But a lot of times we gloss over some of the easiest, lowest hanging fruit with the greatest impact because it's not as fun to do. I mean, calling on unscheduled treatment plans, super exciting. Designing a cool flyer, that's way more fun. I'm going to go after that. But yet that's not going to have as great of an impact as if I were to get these unscheduled treatment plans in. And it doesn't cost us anything to call on scheduled treatment plans. So what I had the team do is we went over our vision. Okay, so we went over the vision, 1, 3, 10. We went over our core values. Then we wrote up ideas that would help us get to these goals in the next quarter. Then I had them plot that on an impact and a cost/time graph. Then we were able to see of those, which 3, you just use that plotting graph, the impact, cost, and time. That's just it's a point of reference. You don't have to use that to set your 3 intentions for the next quarter. But I use that as a guide, as a metrics to help you see how many of the ideas that you came up with would be the most impactful for your practice to move it forward in this next quarter. And then what I had them do is I had them graph that out and figure out how they're going to actually get there with those next 3 intentions. So they set 3 intentions off of that. So maybe what they're going to say is, okay, in quarter whatever you're in, we're going to reduce our unscheduled treatment plans by 10% every single month. Awesome. Then we're going to break down how we're actually going to measure that and track it every single week to make sure we hit that over the next quarter to see if it's going to impact our goal to get up to 1.5 million and how much it actually impacts. Do you guys see how when you just shoot from the hip and set an intention or a goal or a rock just for the sake of setting it, it's a very, I would say, a reactive goal. It's not super proactive. You're not getting a ton of great information from it because what we're doing is we're just guessing. We don't really have a map of where we want to go. But if we can actually plot this out, and you guys can do this with your personal life. Think about personal goals you want to achieve. You know, like I want to lose 10 pounds, or I want to take a leadership course, or I want to enhance my leadership skills, or I want to buy a house, or I don't care what they are. All of us have personal goals. I want to hit 7 continents. What is my most impactful idea that costs me and takes the least amount of time? You can plot these out. I think it's such a great metric and a great way for you to do anything. You guys, if you're having a brainstorming session, we want to come up with all these different ideas, plot it out on one of these graphs so you can see which one has the highest impact that costs us the least amount or it takes the least amount of time. You want those projects going. Those are the ones you want to go. Like I said, some of them might be high impact. They'll cost us a lot, but we know we need to do that to move the business forward. For KDC and Dental A Team, I sincerely, with my whole heart, want to get a private jet. So if any of you are listening, you know somebody with a private jet who wants to fly us around the world, call me. I will give you free coaching calls for life. Like, that's a pretty big deal because I love coaching calls, but they also come at me every single week. So free coaching calls for life, or I'll give you free coaching in office if you know somebody with a private jet who wants to fly us around the world. Like, hands down, let us know because I want this so bad. But you guys see, that's an idea. I could talk about it on the podcast. High impact. There's a lot of you listening. Doesn't cost me anything to talk on the podcast. So it's high impact, low cost, low time. These types of things. But yet, if I were to get a private jet, like that's pretty expensive with a minimal impact. So I've got like high dollar amount with like a 1, 2, or 3 impact right now. So I want you guys to try this out. When you're setting intentions for the quarter, when you're getting ready to do these things in your meetings, whatever it is, I want you to try this. And then I want you to let me know how it went. So pen pal me. Let me know. You guys, truly, I had some of you pen pal me the last time I asked for pen pals. So pen pal us, hello@thedentalateam.com. Send over your ideas. Plot it out. Let me know. Like, oh my gosh, Kiera, this was such an eye-opening exercise. We plotted out our ideas. We did a brainstorming session. We plotted it out. We came up with our intentions for the next quarter. I want to hear about these. This is how you guys keep growing, but not just growing for the sake of growing. I think you're actually intentionally growing and not like, I don't know. The way I'm trying to say this is you're actually being super methodical, which is going to help you work less and create more. Work smarter, not harder. You hear all those things. I love the one that says, like, because this one makes me think. It's like, work smarter, not harder. Okay, cool. I've heard that my whole life. So I don't think about that as much. But the one I do think of as, how can I work less and create more? And that's the one I think of all the time. How can I work less but create more? I really think that plotting these things, setting your intentions based on your 1, 3, 10, and your core values is how you guys can work less and create more. All right, guys, go set those intentions. Do them very intentionally. Have intentional intentions. How good was that one? All right, guys. As always, if this podcast is helping you out, if you're finding value, please go on Facebook, share it with your friends, post on dental groups, like let them know you're listening to the Dental A Team. Share our podcast with people. Just like you guys in dental offices want new patients, I want more people to follow this. And it's not for me selfishly. I truly believe that the podcast is one of the greatest ways that we can truly positively impact the world of dental. And that is my mission. That is my goal. That is why I do all that I do. Podcasting is super fun. I mean, I'm driving by myself and I'm going to podcast here. Super fun to do. But the reality is I believe that this is one of the greatest things that I can give back to team members out there. So if this has changed you, if it's impacted you, leave us reviews, help us get noticed. Also share it with your friends. Talk about us on Facebook groups, anywhere you possibly can. I would greatly, greatly appreciate that. All right, guys. Thank you as always. Can't wait to catch you guys next time on the Dental A Team podcast. And that
that wraps it up for another episode of the Dental A Team podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.